R&R in the morning on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Good morning. R&R in the morning. Rudy J. Pledge. Rob is in Dallas. Everyone getting us through the show. Right now we're going to be joined by my main man, RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys. TikTok extraordinaire. Dude's TikTok is popping.
Right?
I'll be jealous. I'll be like, how's he getting 600 likes? We just talked about social media and people that tell you how much they love you and what you're doing on social media, but never press like. And it's not about the like, RJ. You can not like my stuff. I'm fine with that. I'm 100% okay with you not liking it. But don't tell me about my post and you don't press like. That's my beef. That's besides the point. How are you doing, RJ?
I'm doing great.
You walked into it. My blood pressure's up right now. Go ahead.
Well, based on social media, I don't live as luxurious of a life as you do. You talk about TikToks and Reels. Like, I feel like your life is whiskey and cigars. But
stop.
But yeah, everything's great.
No,
and,
you're.
I try to like all your TikToks. I'm trying to.
But see, the thing is, RJ, it's not about that. You see, like, anyway, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who a majority of your TikToks are about that, and that's why you've been so successful, because you're on point and you're doing your thing. RJ, Brian Schottenheimer and all these new offensive people come in. I think they got big shoes to fill. I think to assume that this is the fix, that okay, these guys are going to be the guys that get us over the hump. These are going to be the guys. It's not Dak's fault. It's not Zeke's fault. It's not CD's fault. We had to get rid of Jason's cupboard, but to think that these are the guys that's going to get them to the NFC Championship, I'm thinking it may be a stretch.
I mean, I think that the coaching staff is just Mike McCarthy, like cloned. Like, that's the whole idea, right? Is like make it the Mike McCarthy operation, the Mike McCarthy project, which is what he called his return to coaching 3 years ago. I mean, Scott Tolzien, McCarthy guy. Brian Schottenheimer, McCarthy guy. Like, I mean, whether you think it's smart or not, like, they're going down with the ship. I mean, and so I respect that at the very least. I mean, like, you've got to do that. You've got to be, you're pot committed. You know what I mean? Like, you're here now, so you might as well enjoy the turn in the river cards, because you paid to see them.
And you say like going down with the ship. Do these moves officially, despite the 2 12-win seasons, put McCarthy on notice and on the hot seat?
I hope not.
I wouldn't go that far. I think it's silly when people say things like he has to reach the NFC title game or else he's fired, because, like, well, what is the context? Like, do they miss it because of like a shanked field goal, a blocked field goal, like a crazy tipped ball, hero play? Did somebody get hurt? Whatever. I will say I do think the circumstances and the intensity, whatever, is more intense this year than it was a year ago. Because, okay, dude, I mean, like, to shout out your guy, Pledge Bum Phillips, like, okay, you knocked on the door, you banged on it. Like, now it's time to, like, really do something here.
Mm-hmm.
And by all measures, they'll be one of the better teams in the NFC on paper. Obviously people are going to be picking the Eagles left and right, but there hasn't been a repeat winner in the division since 2004. Like, there's a lot of history working for you. There's a lot of history working against you in terms of regression to the mean. But you were brought in, we've been here, Mike, like, we know everything about the division around. Like, we have all, we have the whole place memorized. We can tell you where the best spots to eat are, the best hotel rates. We know everything about the division around. But Mike McCarthy was brought in to be different, to take them past that. And, okay, you missed your first shot. We're willing to understand all of the context associated with it. And now, I mean, I don't view it as like hot seat stuff. I view it as, okay, we're following your image. We're gonna let you sink or swim. Just because you let someone sink or swim doesn't mean it's hot seat. It just means we believe in you. We're willing to sink with you because we believe in you that much.
I think one topic that's not being discussed enough, RJ, and I think we made the same mistake with Michael Gallup. Steve Smith, former wide receiver for Carolina Panthers, great wide receiver of NFL Network, says he had a similar injury to Tony Pollard, and it was tougher than what he even thought it was to come back. And considering we're talking about the franchise tag, we're talking about 1 year. I don't know. I don't know why everybody's just so 100% sure, like, Tony Pollard's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. We did the same thing with Gallup, and clearly he wasn't right. Why aren't we talking about Tony Pollard and his comeback season after this broken leg?
I mean, the real answer is because it's not convenient, right? Like, oh, I don't want to face reality. I don't, you know what I mean? The bills due, no thanks. Like, I'll put that off.
I'm with that.
I mean, you're totally right. I mean, it's fair to. It's not the same injury. Obviously, it's still difficult. It's not easy by any means. You know, the Cowboys have proven to have a medical staff that you can trust, despite the fact that the Michael Gallup thing didn't exactly work out well. But like every other team in the NFL, the Cowboys passed on Odell Beckham Jr. For similar reasons. You know, obviously not, you know, feeling like he was ready to go at that particular time. But yeah, and that's where, like, you know, okay, should they tag Pollard? Should they not tag him? Whatever. It's awful that Tony Pollard's earning power has been impacted by his injury. That's just, you never want to see it. Like, every player.
I hate that for him. I love Tony.
Right. And so, I mean, it's like if I had to pick a path, I mean, the path is let him walk, tag him, or try to restructure, or, you know, negotiate a long-term deal. My path would be, all right, we talked about like the turn in the river, like, don't put in all your chips, bluff, like think, let him test the open market, let him see what's out there. And, you know,
amen.
Other teams
amen,
by the injury. And it sounds cold, and it sounds, you know, and it is cold to some degree. It's really unfortunate, but maybe Pollard tests the open market, says, you know what, I can't find a deal I like. Let me come back and sign a 1-year deal, prove it deal. I'll hit the open market next year. And you get him, you know, even if you save, you know, 10%, you know, relative to the tag, you're still saving, and you don't have to use the tag. So I would let him test free agency. And if he leaves and someone pays him a big time deal, okay, cool. Give me the comp pick in 2024.
When you talk about Tony Pollard, and there a lot of is being made of bringing back Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott taking a pay cut, coming back on a severely reduced contract. Whether you pay Tony Pollard or anything else along with Zeke Elliott, are you not just reshuffling the order of the money that you're paying that same room? And isn't it not better to allocate that money via the draft and cheaper compensation to better equip other weapons around the team? Isn't it better to reshuffle that money specifically in the running back room?
Well, Pledge, you wore a DC shirt today, which means you're clearly out on Marvel. I know the Ant-Man movie is garnering some low reviews.
It was good.
You picked the right side, I think, in that debate, and I think you've picked the right side here. I mean, I'm with you. Like, we go too far with the running backs don't matter thing, but it is more like that is more close to the truth than it is that you have to spend all of your resources on them. Like, again, I'm not saying like any Joe Schmo can line up behind the Cowboys offensive line and rip off 1,000 yards. But I mean, it's much more likely that any Joe Schmo can do that than any Joe Schmo can be your wide receiver 2 opposite of CeeDee Lamb. And so I'm with you. I would much rather throw that money in free agency at a wide receiver if it's Odell Beckham Jr. I would much rather throw that money at a veteran corner to help mitigate that loss. My personal favorite in that path is Patrick Peterson. Like, do that. I don't need you to be spending all this money on the running back position. I don't need Bijan Robinson. I don't need any of this mess. I mean, you have Malik Davis. Is he the best running back in the world? No, but it does not matter.
I love Malik Davis.
So Malik, a day 3 pick. Let's ride, which, by the way, Pledge coined first for the San Antonio Commanders before Russell Wilson did with the Denver Broncos.
That's true.
Hey, RJ, are your sources telling you is there anything to this CJ Stroud mess?
I mean, I haven't seen anything. You know, there was the one rumor that popped up, but I mean, I think if it was a thing, if there was anything, I think there'd be more to it right now. That's my thought. I do think anything is possible, including fabricating the truth for the purposes of, you know, this is lying season. Everybody's lying. Everybody wants you to believe one thing for one reason or another. So, I mean, that's a possibility here, but I would not put it past the hope they draft a quarterback. I think they should. You know, at some point, but the idea that they, you know, are in the mix for CJ Stroud, who's probably going to be a top 10 pick, is ridiculous. But it also pays to connect yourself to the Cowboys as a draft prospect. Bijan Robinson is benefiting from that. I don't know how well you remember, Rudy. Myles Garrett had a video when he was coming out, said, Oh man, Jerry Jones, please trade Tony Romo to the Browns. Come up and draft me. Deshaun Watson at a gala or something when he was entering the draft. Jason Garrett, it was in Dallas. Jason Garrett was there, and he kind of jokingly, when he gave his speech, said, "I know you have a quarterback, but hey, like it pays to connect yourself to the Cowboys when you're entering the draft."
RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys, join us via the Buyers Barricade guest line. You can follow him on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. RJ, this offseason, a lot seems to be about surrounding Dak with weapons, the way we've seen Jalen Hurts surrounded with weapons, or what San Francisco did, going out and getting Christian McCaffrey and surrounding their quarterbacks with weapons. A lot is being made about surrounding Dak with more weapons. We heard CD talk about it on Radio Row openly, and multiple players have. This offseason, when you're talking about surrounding him, all we've really talked about is subtraction. Dalton Schultz likely not getting franchised, not coming back. There's the possibility that Zeke could be cut. There is the possibility that Tony Pollard could not be back, or he could, but so you're still subtracted more than you've added. When you look at the free agent market, what would the Cowboys specifically be looking for? Because we know Jerry left open the door to Odell Beckham in March when he seemingly quit talking about it towards the end of last season. Bobby Trees was just released in Tennessee. DJ Chark, Paris Campbell, like these are names that seemingly could at least be somewhat connected to the Dallas Cowboys. And then we hear about possible trade scenarios like DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Gilmore, who actually you had his brother openly coin Cowboy fans to call for Stephon to come to Dallas. Yeah. So what would be the most realistic option that you could see the Cowboys taking this offseason when we're talking about surrounding Dak with more weaponry?
I mean, you could go the actual free agent route, but I mean, it's like, okay, the three of us, it's Friday night, we're going to watch a movie instead of going to see, the big blockbuster anime. We're going to the $5 bin at Walmart, trying to, hey, Blade
There's nothing wrong with the $5 bin, RJ.
No, I'm just saying, like, but if the goal is like find a blockbuster, I mean, maybe Ant-Man's not the one to see, but you know what I'm saying? If the goal is find a banger, I mean, like your odds are not exactly as high in the $5 bin. That's the goal here, find a banger. So yeah, DJ Chark is an interesting name. I have no interest in Bobby Trees. I have no interest in Paris Campbell. Like I said, if Patrick Peterson is a name that is interested in the Cowboys once again, okay, attack the secondary that way. Just because they're not on the offensive side of the ball doesn't mean they're not getting help, as you all obviously well know. DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, look, here's the thing, like, you're going to have to do something that makes you a little uncomfortable. We don't trade for players. We don't do this. But okay, dude, what I mentioned the 40-year-old virgin line a few weeks ago with Rudy and Rob. Like, I know you were there too, players. Like, you've got to try some wrong. Like, you've got to try something that makes you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to necessarily do exactly what other teams are doing, but you have to figure out a way. I mean, like, just yesterday, I was talking to one of our staffers at BTB. He suggested the Cowboys should trade a first and a fourth-round pick to the Bengals for T. Higgins. And because I'm a stupid robot, that's built by Stephen Jones's image, I was like, dude, you can't trade for that guy because he's in the final year of his rookie contract. Like, you're going to have to pay him right away. And while I stand by that logic to a certain degree, it's like, well, you know what? Like, maybe it's time to do some of that stuff. Like, maybe it's time to live a little closer to the edge. That's what I'm feeling. Like,
it worked with Amari Cooper, did it not?
It did, and well, they got lucky because they still had his 5th-year option. So they didn't have to pay him right away.
Right.
But I mean, you have to, like, it's not enough. You cannot be like CeeDee Lamb, some dudes run, get open, Dak will figure it out. That's not fair to anybody involved.
Yeah, unless you got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, then you can play street football. He is RJ Ochoa. The site is Blogging the Boys. My guy. Shout out to Lance McCullers, RJ. Hope he gets well soon. He's joined to us by Buyers Barricades guest line. Buyers Barricade provides traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond. RJ, we wish you good health. Take care of that baby boy, and have yourself a fine weekend, sir.
We're going to be driving past San Antonio today, so I hope I see you two outside of the Palladium watching not Ant-Man.
Yeah, we're going to go with Creed 3. Appreciate you, RJ.
Or Cocaine Bear.
Oh, no, that is so stupid. Appreciate you, RJ. Have a good one, man.